the big story that we're tracking on this channel as well is the PNB trail. And remember, it's the heist that's clearly rocked the world of banking, and we've been on top of that scam. We have access to the FIR that's also been filed by the CBI against the lender, and the investigative agency charges on the lender for fraudulently issuing letters of undertaking to Axis and Allahabad Bank and their overseas branches. Clear implications being felt not just on PNB but some of the other jewelry stocks as well in trade right now. And I've got my battalion of colleagues who are now joining in as well to give us a heads up on this story. We have Vaishnavi with us, Neha Bothra. We also have Vijay Iyer joining in to give us more details among the lot, as well as Ashwin Parekh. Well, I'm going to begin with you then, Vijay. Just give us a sense, because we're clearly tracking at ET now this earthquake, if you will, within the banking space, and we have access to the CBI FIR against PNB. Give us the exclusive details as to what you're picking up on that.
Clearly, as we put out in the morning, the first access to the FIR filed by CBI and the PNB scam, if I could say that clearly, the alarm was raised on January 25th, 2018. The reason being, one of the letter of undertaking was due for payment, and that is where PNB realized that this letter of undertaking issued was illegal, and it was done at some individual level or employees who are suspended by the bank now in one of the Mumbai branches. All this letter of undertaking was issued to 3 export houses between January and February of 2017, and the letter of undertaking came for a payment due on January 25th, 2018, when the alarm bells were raised, and that is where this whole scam was blew, and how the payment was getting defaulted. Also, the 3 export houses in that sense have exposure, and using this letter of undertaking have taken loans from Allahabad and Axis Bank's Hong Kong branch, and that is where these banks also now are facing the heat with Punjab National Bank, who had issued the original letter of undertaking saying these were illegal, and hence they will no liability on making this payment to other banks like Allahabad Bank and Axis Bank's Hong Kong branch. So one will have to wait and see how things pan out, as we see Enforcement Director is also conducting raids across 12 locations of Nirav Modi, his office, and others named in the CBI FIR. So although CBI started this with 280 crores, which was the default of letter of undertaking, now PNB is realizing this whole letter of undertaking and the overall exposure of 10,000 crores is under stress, and that is where now all the other investigating agencies are also getting into action mode. But the moot question is, there are indications that Nirav Modi any which ways is not in India, so we'll have to wait and see how things proceed. But on CBI front, they are looking at the connivance of PNB employees along with the 3 export houses and Nirav Modi, his wife and other relatives who are also part of the board of these 3 export houses. And from Enforcement Director, of course, the money laundering aspect, using this money and the export-import modus operandi used will be a probe for money laundering. So clearly one will have to wait and see coming days and weeks. A lot of questions will have to be answered by PNB's top management, and of course RBI will have to get into action mode as a regulator, because clearly there is a systemic issue with these loopholes being explored at the banking level, at the branch level of Punjab National Bank.
Let's go across to Neha as well. She's joining us live now. Neha, I wanted to understand that, of course, this is a news flow which has come. We have tracked this news flow. What complaint has come in, Vijay just told us. But this would have repercussion effects. What are you picking up in the latest? What are other banks with which, different understandings, MOUs were signed? What are they now up to?
Well, Pankaj, there are 2 angles to this. One is solely about Punjab National Bank, what it means for Punjab National Bank. I'll start with that. Punjab National Bank has disclosed the fraudulent transaction, $1.7 billion it is. The stock is being battered. What does it mean for Punjab National Bank? It means there is a severe erosion in terms of credibility. There are unanswered questions as to how the transaction came to light over 7 years. Only in January this has been answered, but it shows that there was no system to red flag such transactions and has created concern about the corporate governance being practiced in Punjab National Bank. That is number one. Number two is, now because of Punjab National Bank's letter of comfort or a letter of undertaking that was extended to other banks to advance loan to the concerned parties, there are many more banks that come under the ambit. So these banks, while they may not be under the scanner of regulatory agency, so to say, but they have to bear the brunt of the comfort letters extended by Punjab National Bank. So what does it mean for these lenders? Remember, Punjab National Bank extended comfort letters to other banks to the tune of $1.7 billion. Based on those letters of undertaking, loans were advanced by these banks to the concerned parties. Now the other banks in question that mainly include the likes of Axis Bank, Union Bank of India, Allahabad Bank, these banks are up in arms asking Punjab National Bank to reimburse the entire amount in question, that is $1.7 billion. However, Punjab National Bank is negotiating this, saying that the extent to which they will bear this amount is restricted by the term contingent liability, which they will show on their books. So this is something that has led to a war between these banks and Punjab National Bank as to the quantum of liability that both will bear or not bear. But clearly, experts that we have been interacting with say that Punjab National Bank, despite saying that it was a fraudulent transaction, would have to bear the entire amount and not sweep it under the carpet as a contingent liability. This, of course, means that there will be severe impact in terms of profitability. Remember, balance sheets are already weak. They are reeling under pressure. Also with the revised framework of NPA rules that the Reserve Bank of India has come out with. So all in all, the picture looks very grim, not just for Punjab National Bank, Punjab National Bank, of course, specifically, but also other public sector banks and some private sector lenders like Axis Bank, who also find themselves in the eye of this murky storm that we are now unraveling. And this is a developing story. There'll be more updates coming on that.
Oh, yes, indeed. And Neha, we will keep touching base with you in order to get more perspective. Let me go across to Times Now correspondent Vaishnavi as well. At Nirav's Modi residence at Prabha Devi, where the CBI had raided it 10 days ago. Let's get in a check as to what exactly she's got for us. And Vaishnavi, tell us which are the other properties which are under the radar. We also understand that the ED is conducting raids as we speak.
At this point of time, I am in Worli, where Nirav Modi is one of the residents, in fact, is situated. This is a Samudra Mahal where he has two floors, the 26th and the 27th floor. And we did speak to the security guard just some time back, and we've been told that the family does not stay here since the last many months. In fact, last 3-4 months is what we've been told. And in fact, the last time they actually spotted Nirav Modi's wife here is during Diwali, when she had come and given sweets to them. That's the conversation we just had some time back with the security guards. But what is very important to note, Megha, is the fact that these two flats, the 26th and the 27th floor, the flats of Nirav Modi and Ami Modi, his wife, has been sealed by the authorities just 10 days back. That's the information that we have got to know from the security guards. And of course, now there is nobody who really stays in this property, and it has been sealed 10 days back. And if we recollect, then the first complaint that was actually filed by the Punjab National Bank in this entire case was on January 28th and also 31st Jan, when actually an FIR was filed, is what we've been told by the CBI. So clearly, considering all this, it looks like immediately when the first complaint was registered, there was action that was taken, and that's why 10 days back they believe, they say that this property was sealed by the authorities. We know that raids, of course, are going on at various locations in Mumbai, whether it is his head office in Kalagoda, where also we've been told that the ED is raiding the office. And apart from that, also there is another residence of Nirav Modi, which is in Pedder Road, where also some sort of action is expected in some time. Clearly, now that actions are being taken, but here at one of his residences, we've been told that the property has been sealed by the authorities, and it was done just 10 days back. The big question, of course, remains, where is Nirav Modi and the family and the people who have been involved in this? But there's absolutely no clarity. And of course, it looks like they are absconding for the moment and evading all sorts of investigations. And that probably will have to only wait and watch what exactly turns up now.
Our reporter angle on various stories of this particular ongoing development regarding PNB. Now let's get in a very, very special voice. Anil Singhvi of ICANN Investments is now joining us. Mr. Singhvi, firstly, thank you so much for taking out time for us. Could you just tell your first reaction about this particular announcement that has come in from PNB? Do you think it tells us much more than just about a $2 billion fraud?
I think it can have some cascading effect because I think it's not only just one diamond trader. I think the diamond traders have been using the Indian public sector banks for a very long time. My take is as follows, that after having these kind of episodes with these kind of traders in past as well, the Indian banks, particularly the PSUs, have really not looked into their risk assessment and risk management system. So somewhere, I think their risk management system was wanting, many gaps were there, and that is where people have taken advantage of. So I'm not clearly amused by the fact that this amount may be even a larger amount here, because people have been abusing the Indian banking system for their benefit, and definitely they have failed. I mean, these amounts are colossal amounts. Look at Punjab National Bank market cap is 30,000 crore. They're caught napping on almost 12,000 crore worth of this kind of a fraud. I mean, that speaks volume of thing that your 1/3 of your market cap is one single fraud, and your risk appetite is so large. Whose money at the end of the day are they really playing with? So I think to say that today when we are caught into, and this could be a case of cheating, this could be a completely a mastermind, but every bank globally and locally also should be aware of this fact that there are a lot of borrowers who will be cheating on the bank. But their own risk system has to be in place. The risk assessment has to be in place. There has to be a constant vigilant monitoring. I think most banks in India fail on that, and they come back again to the government and public at large for recapitalizing. According to me, most of these banks should be shut down or at least consolidated. We have too many banks.
Okay, Anil, I want to delve into this further because it was exactly 5 years ago in the year 2013 as well that the Winsome Group as well, a well-known diamond house, failed to repay a dozen lenders, and that time as well it was PNB which was hurt the most given the credit that was extended to this. Give us a sense as to what you make of these kind of cases, and we're not talking small numbers here, recurring with some of these PSU banks. Tell us a little bit about what you think this spells about the gap that we're seeing in the banking culture as a whole.
I think first off and foremost is that there is no learning curve. Most of these banks don't learn from their own past mistakes. I mean, the wiser are the banks who learn from the mistake of others. But given that, at least these banks should be learning from their own mistakes. But if you keep the same mistake and repeat the same mistake, I don't think you have any sense of, or you should be allowed to remain in banking. According to me, Punjab National Bank should be merged with any other bank. They can't second time come again and say that, okay, we have moved up again for $2 billion. You can't do that. Your market cap itself is $3.5, $4 billion. You can't come again and again to the government and to the taxpayers. Finally, this is your money and my money, which these PSU banks are. I mean, there may be many managers and many other personnel who may be complicit with these kind of borrowers. So what is the risk assessment system? What is the board doing? What is the internal management, top management doing in these cases? I think government also is at the last leg on this because they have gotten good people there at the top. You have a PNB chairman who is from private sector bank. You have a very fine gentleman there. But I think the whole risk assessment system, the checks and balances which the bank should have are completely found missing. And more importantly, as you rightly said, if they were found napping on the same score 5 years back, what is their learning curve? And my point is one larger. Should now the Punjab National Bank be again recapitalized? And according to me, there should be a very big debate on that. Should these banks be again recapitalized and they keep on having the hole in their pocket after 3 or 4 years?
You brought in an important point. The recapitalization that was given was much bigger than what was anticipated, which happened earlier. But with more such news flow coming in, you talked about M&A in the PSU banking space, or consolidation as you called it. If that happens, even good banks will need much more capital, and they will need to write off before they actually become very clean banks.
The point is very simple. After having gone through this episode of PNB in 2013 and again 2018, do you not think that this bank does not be fit to be a bank independently? So even if we have to consolidate, we will take one poison pill at a time, that you consolidate all these banks who have not learned from their past mistakes. That means their system and processes of lending is faulty. Ultimately, what does a bank do at a simplistic level is borrow money and lend money. And in that, if you are caught in this kind of a fraud, that means your risk system and assessment of risk is very, very poor. And to say that some manager or some other person was really found and he was the one, what was your system and process doing? Where is your internal control system? There will be people who will abuse the system. But a bank has to have a much robust sense of doing things. So somewhere I think the banking industry in India need to be consolidated. I think we must have a resource every time to give this kind of a thing and support from the government. Government should also ask very, very tough and questions to say, why is my money available to you freely? No. The answer is very clearly no. You can't. Banks cannot just be recapitalized every time that they have problems. I think this has to be now looked into a very different light. We saw a very large pool of money, and in a year in which, in any case, budgets are looking very, very stressed. We are looking at a fiscal situation a little going out of gear, and here you have the banks who are floundering on such simple things. I mean, letter of undertaking, and you don't have checks and balances, that your exposure is going beyond 12,000 crores. It's not a joke. It's not a joke.
It just took 2 employees to pull off one of the biggest banking cons in a very long time. And Anil, you brought up some very crucial points as well. A complete overhaul of the banking system, getting checks in place, because perhaps what we're going to see now is some sort of a clampdown on credit limits. Insurance companies will turn cautious, but a recalibration as to whether or not we could see a recapitalization for PNB needs to be re-looked at. Thank you so much for taking time out, and thanks to all of our reporters and team for joining in and giving us the latest on this story. Let's take a quick break and come back with more.